In a village by the sea, where the gulls cried over the waves and the cobblestones glistened with salt, there lived a postman named Elias. For 30 years he had walked the same streets, carrying letters that bound lives together. He knew every door, every face, every dog that barked at his heels. But lately, his steps had grown heavy, his eyes dim. The world seemed quieter, lonelier, as if the tide had carried something away from him that would never return. Elias was a man of habit. Each morning, he rose before the sun, brewed his tea, and walked to the small post office where the day's letters waited. He sorted them carefully, slipping them into his satchel with the precision of someone who believed that even the smallest envelope mattered. But one evening, as he prepared for the next day's route, he found a letter that was different. It was plain, unmarked, with no name and no address. Only a single line written in looping ink, for the one who needs it most. Elias frowned. He turned it over, held it up to the light, even sniffed the paper as though it might reveal its secret. But there was nothing more. He set it aside, muttering to himself that he would deal with it tomorrow. When tomorrow came, the letter was gone. He searched his desk, his satchel, even the floorboards, but it had vanished. Later that day, as he delivered mail in the village, he overheard whispers. Widow Marin, who had lost her husband to the sea, had received a letter. A letter that gave her comfort, as though it had been written just for her. Elias froze. He knew it was the same envelope. The days that followed brought more mysteries. The letter kept returning to his satchel, only to disappear again. Each time, it found its way to someone who had lost hope. One morning, it was the fisherman Tomas, whose boat had been wrecked in a storm. He had been ready to give up the sea, but after the letter, he was seen repairing his nets with renewed determination. Another day, it was little Anya, a girl whose father had never returned from his voyage. She clutched the letter to her chest and whispered to her mother that she felt her father's love again. Then it was old Henrik, the carpenter, who believed no one remembered his birthday. The letter arrived on his doorstep, and that evening, he lit a candle and smiled for the first time in years. Each time, Elias saw the change. Faces that had been clouded with sorrow now carried a quiet glow, as though a lantern had been lit inside them. And yet, Elias began to feel restless. Who wrote such a letter? How did it move on its own? And why did it never stay with him? He too carried burdens, loneliness, regret, the weight of years. Was he not in need as well? The questions gnawed at him. He began to watch the letter more closely, slipping it into hidden pockets, even locking it in a drawer. But no matter what he did, it vanished, only to reappear in the hands of someone else. One stormy night, as rain lashed against his window and the sea roared like a beast, Elias sat alone at his table. He felt the ache of years pressing down on him. He thought of his wife, gone too soon. He thought of the children he never had, the laughter that never filled his home. He thought of the countless letters he had delivered, carrying joy and sorrow to others, while his own heart remained empty. And then he saw it. The letter, resting quietly in his satchel, as though it had been waiting for him all along. This time, it did not vanish. His hands trembled as he broke the seal. Inside was a single sheet of paper. The words were simple. You are not forgotten. The world is gentler than it seems. Carry on. Someone still needs you. Tears blurred his vision. For the first time in years, Elias felt seen. The words were not grand, not poetic, but they were enough. They were exactly what he needed. The next morning, Elias walked his route with lighter steps. He noticed things he had long ignored: the laughter of children chasing each other down the street, the smell of bread drifting from the bakery, the way the sea sparkled when the sun broke through the clouds. He greeted people with warmth, and they greeted him back. Something had shifted. He did not tell anyone what the letter said. He didn't need to. The change was in him, and that was enough. That afternoon, as he delivered mail, he paused outside a small cottage. A young man sat alone on the steps, his head in his hands. Elias recognized the look of someone carrying a burden too heavy for one heart. Quietly, Elias slipped the mysterious envelope into the mailbox. He tipped his cap and walked on. Some miracles are not loud. They do not part seas or move mountains. They arrive quietly, like a letter with no address, finding the one who needs it most. And so the letter continued its journey, carried not by hands, but by hope. Some miracles are not loud. They do not part seas or move mountains. They arrive quietly, like a letter with no address, finding the one who needs it most. And so the letter continued its journey, carried not by hands, but by hope. And perhaps that is the lesson for us all. Hope has a way of finding us when we least expect it. Sometimes it comes through a kind word, a small gesture, or even a story like this one. We may never know who needs it most, but when we choose to share kindness, it always finds its way. If this story touched your heart, let it be more than just a tale. Think of someone in your life who might need a reminder that they are not forgotten. Send them a message, write them a note, or simply speak the words aloud. You never know, your kindness might be the letter they've been waiting for. And if you'd like more stories of quiet miracles and gentle mysteries, subscribe and stay with me. Because the next story might just be the one you need most.